Okay, I admit it, I was unfair to Dragon's Dogma. I've played it for a few more hours since my last video, and while everything I said in those videos still stands, because the worst thing a critic can do is go back on their word, but I'm not a critic so I guess that doesn't matter, I do want to give the game the praise it rightly deserves. It's just not for me, and it has reaffirmed my belief that I should never try Dark Souls. So these are my favourite things about Dragon's Dogma 2. This game has the best fight escalation I have ever seen, where an encounter can start with you getting jumped by some goblins, and end with you riding on a griffin and crashing said griffin into the ground and then fighting a dragon. I have never seen an open world game continually up the tension of battles to this degree. Hell, I don't even think I've seen an open world game have backup for its enemies. It actually complements the exhausting combat quite well. As soon as you think you've got a chance to recover, more fearsome foes come charging out of the wilderness, and you have to grit your teeth and keep fighting. I said this in my last video, but the reason that this is not fun but good is that there's no significant penalty for death other than lost health, and with adaptive difficulty, the game gets easier with each attempt, making sure the player has an even better time when they try again. It really makes the open world feel equal parts dangerous and epic, and you never know just how taxing a simple jaunt between the capital and fishing village can be when any manner of monstrosity can erupt out at any time. Another one of my favourite features is the darkness of the night in the game, which I'm not going to talk about because I already did in the first video I made about this game, which performed horribly and says awful things about the YouTube algorithm, that the most positive video I made about this game failed, and that this video will most likely also fail. Something that on paper sounds awful, but in practice I don't mind in Dragon's Dogma 2, is the linear open world. What I mean by that is how the world is presented as a line for you to follow, but you're encouraged not to progress far down on it, and mostly go back and forth doing side quests. Where most other games say pick a direction and go, Dogma gates the player into areas where the developers have appropriately tuned encounters to suit the player. This gives the player the best experience possible by limiting the play area and teasing more arid locations off in the distance. Open worlds are my favourite genre, and the one thing I can't stand in them is funnels. A funnel is what I call a linear area that connects more open areas, but I never considered what a game would look like if it was based on being one giant funnel. This design lets the game splinter off into mini areas like caves for fun little discovery challenges, and it also adds a new unique type of discovery that you can make in the game: shortcuts. That is something I never thought I'd be excited about in an open world game, but by reducing fast travel opportunities and basing the world around one path, Dogma makes finding its nooks and crannies one of the most rewarding discoveries I've ever had in a video game. I'll never forget how happy I was to discover the coastal path connecting Balthol and the grasslands. I never had to fight those stupid magic golems again, and then there was one hiding out on the secret path anyway. I also like the pawn system. Not the pawns themselves, they're still glorified Pikmin, but the concept of swapping out an endless supply of NPC partners can be pretty engaging. I had lots of fun walking around the Rift looking for characters I recognized to snatch up and take with me, and I'm not ashamed to admit I went through about 4 Lazels and 7 Freerins across my journey. It actually conjured some weird nostalgic memories of going on the 3DS Street Pass and downloading awesome Mii designs that I found online, and then putting them into Street Pass Quest, which is the last thing I ever expected to feel nostalgic about in a AAA video game. While I do bemoan the sense of individuality lost with the pawns, I love how fresh and exciting battles get as soon as I swap out my helpers. The entire dynamic of battle changes on the fly, and it's like I'm playing a whole different game, even without switching vocations. Speaking of vocations, the range of moves between these jobs is insane. The combat feels evenly polished across all classes, and the only one that feels boring to play as is a mage, because healing is the only job I don't want to do. Even though I love open world fantasy RPGs, I'll be shocked if Rebirth isn't my game of the year, and Dragon's Dogma 2 isn't my sort of game, that doesn't mean my or anyone else's opinion who's played it is worthless. We need to get outsiders' views on games we like, because that's how they get better and learn from their slip-ups. So maybe the next one is the game that pulls them in. So while I leave Dragon's Dogma 2 with incredibly mixed feelings overall, I did enjoy my time with the game, and it is worth playing, and by all measures, an excellent match for a different audience. If you want to hear more praise for Dragon's Dogma 2, here's that video about the nighttime I was talking about, and I'll see you in 2 days.